Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parbrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Bhuva Swaha Tatsavitravare Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Asto Ma Satgamya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya Mrityurma Amritam Gamya Om Sehna Vavatu Sehna Bhunatu Saviryam Karvavahi Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahi Om Shanti 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 Om. Good morning, everybody. So in this class today, we are studying Vivek Chudamanai. We started a few weeks ago. And we learned that there are some qualifications to be a good student. And these qualifications we keep on adding in our personality. Okay, it's not like a SAT score. Once you have it and that's it. No, these qualifications keep on adding. And what are these qualifications? Vivek, Vairagya, and 6 qualities which come under Sham Adi, Sham, Dam, Uprati, Titiksha, Samadhan, Shraddha, all that, right? Uprati. So there are 6 of them. And then the 4th qualification is Mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam. So any question on whatever we have learned so far? Because we did up to verse number 26 last time. In verse number 26, Adi Shankaracharya ji is saying that samadhan is that condition when the mind is constantly engaged in total contemplation of the supreme reality. That means that your mind is constantly connected with God and God alone. That's why it's also called samadhi. It is not gained through any amount of intellectual oscillation. So intellectually, if you are still bubbling, you're trying to understand it intellectually. And we learned in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, that was like a savitarak, savichar. That's where the intellect is still churning. Over here, samadhan means that intellect is completely silenced. Okay. So, tat samadhanam te yuktaham na tu chittasya lalanam. Sarvada sathapanam buddhe shuddhe brahmani sarvatha. Okay. So it's like all you are connected with is God and God alone. That is samadhan. So now let's look at it. Number 27. Ahankar adi deh antan bandhan agyan kalpitan swaswarup ev bodhen moktum ichha mumukshataha. Over here he is defining mumukshutvam for us. He says mumukshutvam is the impatient and burning desire to release oneself by realizing the real nature of oneself from all bondages of egoism. And then he says egoism is what? Egoism to the body, etc. Ahankar adi deh antan, which are bondages created by ignorance. See, ahankar is ego, bandh is the bondage, agyan is the ignorance, kalpitan means imagination. So over here he's defining what ignorance is also. what ego is also, and we need to release ourselves from it, and we should have a burning desire for the liberation. So that's why remembering what we learned so far is so important. Because in the previous verses, we learned that discriminative capacity to separate the real from the unreal is what? Vivek. Right? What is real, what is unreal? So if we don't know what is real, what is unreal, we wouldn't move towards the real. Because unreal has so many temptations for us. So clearly we got to see that, and that is Vivek. That's why he said that's very important. And the second thing we learned so far is a capacity to detach ourselves completely from the false, from the unreal. Okay, that is Vairagya. So Vivek is to understand what is unreal and what is real. Vairagya is detach ourselves from the unreal. It's not only knowing is not enough. This knowing is not enough that this is poison. After that, we got to make the decision that I don't want to inhale poison. Then he said, calmness, self-control, inner peace, forbearance, faith, and self-settledness. These are the positive qualities of the head and the heart. This Sham, Dam, Uprati, they are not just for the heart alone or for the head alone. They are for the head and the heart both. And we need to consciously develop these qualities. This is not something we only memorize or something we sing about. Calmness, self-control, inner peace. See, calmness is what? Sham. Self-control is Dam. Inner peace is Uprati. Forbearance is what? Titiksha. Faith is what? Shraddha. And self-settledness. That is another way you can understand Samadhan. So these are all positive qualities we need to cultivate. And then in this verse, there is a complete definition of the spirit of seeking that is essential in everybody. Every seeker should have this. Mumukshutvam. The burning aspiration of a seeker should not be an idle enthusiasm. Like sometimes we'll know it, sometimes we'll work for it. And it doesn't happen with a mysterious intervention of a god or a teacher. It's not that Guru is going to touch our forehead and we are going to become liberated. No. That's why he said, Swaswarup ev bodhen moktum ichha mumukshutaha. It has to be our ichha, our desire, burning desire. We got to know what our limitations are. We also know what are the causes for them. We must be clear about our goal and various techniques and paths also by which we can attain it. This is our journey. Because of the non-apprehension of our real nature, misapprehension about ourselves arise in our mind. That's why we identify ourselves with the body. We start identifying with our achievements, whether they're mental or intellectual. And together, this is called ego. And that's what gives us a sense of limitation. At the level of the body or intellect, we are limited. And we think that's what we are. But there's no limitation which belong to the self. Because it's infinite. It's absolute. And it's absolutely perfect also. So when we forget our real nature, we are looking for something else to give us comfort. We misconstrue our personality. And what happens? We suffer. We suffer, we think we are finite. We suffer because we think we are mortal. We live this whole life, a beautiful human life, in fear. To rediscover ourselves is to end all our sorrows. This is the point he is trying to make in this verse for us. That's why he said, in the ignorance of the real nature, we start identifying our egocentric concepts like I am the body. Ahankar adi, dehantan. I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. So to end this ignorance is to gain the wisdom of reality. In this simple looking verse, there is a depth of this Vedic knowledge. He who has understood the logic of this true philosophical concept of the self and a yogic explanation about this whole journey, only then you can call yourself a mumukshu. So in other words, mumukshu is not a blind seeker, vaguely wanting something which is unknown pleasure. Mumukshu is a person who has gone through all this or going through all of this, the whole journey with the eyes open. So it's not a half an hour of meditation morning and evening. It is all day long. Being aware, keeping the eyes open. Remembering I need to purify myself. I need to purify my mind. I need to purify my intellect. And slowly and steadily, I will turn them around towards the reality. That's what a mumukshu is. So such a seeker who is ready to live every moment of his life in a diligent pursuit of the real is a mumukshu. Remember that. So are we there? Do we get just disappointed with any worldly disappointment? Do we lose hope? Do we become fearful? So we are not mumukshu yet. Because we are identifying ourselves with the worldly successes and failures. We have not understood the whole diagram yet. So this is what he's trying to tell us. Okay. So mumukshutvam is the impatient and burning desire to release oneself by realizing the real nature of one's self from all bondages of egoism to the body, etc., which are bondages created by ignorance.
Harji,
Yes, Mama.
Can you elaborate on, okay, we have to get to the goal of knowing our true nature. Now, can you tell us what is this true nature?
True nature means the Atma.
Okay, got it.
I
just wanted to hear it from you.
Yeah. I am the Atma which is enveloped with the unreal, and wrongly I identify myself with the envelopments. It's almost like a precious gift inside. Outside there is a box and the wrappings.
And another box.
Another box and a wrapping, right? And we look at it, the size of the box sometimes, or the color of the wrapping, or the ribbon on it. The real gift is inside. That is our true nature, the Atma, which is nothing but part of Paramatma. Okay? I'm glad you asked. Number 28. Yeah, this is a very, if we want to really practice this, this is a very, very deep scripture. That's why he keeps on going over and over again. Every definition, he puts something else on it. It's like colors it again so that we can really understand it. So do ask questions in this class. It's okay. We are in no hurry. Okay. Mand madhyam rupani vairagyen sham adina prasaden gurauseyam pravriddha suyate phalam. Half-hearted and mediocre aspiration. See, mand means half-hearted or inferior. Madhyam is moderate. Mand and madhyam. So half-hearted and mediocre aspirations in a seeker may also come to bear fruit, being increased by the grace of the Guru and by means of renunciation, calmness, etc. So if you don't have a burning desire yet, he says, have some aspiration at least. Try to cultivate other qualities more. Be in the company of your Guru. Pretty soon you'll have the intense desire also. That's what he's trying to say. So half-hearted and mediocre aspirations in a seeker may also come to bear fruit, being increased by the grace of the Guru. So it's like a Guru Kripa. And by means of renunciation, calmness, etc. So our job is not done. We keep on doing what we need to do, and Guru will do what Guru needs to do. So burning desire for redemption from one's known weaknesses and limitations can be increased. So we should not give up that we don't have that kind of a burning desire yet. We don't have that highest level of tempo yet. We got to just keep on working on those qualities. So that's why he said, Viragyen Sham Adina. So detachment and other qualities. So we should not, one thing I read from here is, do not depend, Guru is needed, but do not depend on Guru's grace alone. We got to do our work too. Okay, so it's like what does a Guru teach us? Guru also says the same thing. Guru says, detach from this unreal. Cultivate these qualities. Guru's grace is always there actually. It's not that Guru's grace is just like a sunshine. It's always there. But if we keep the blinds down or we go into the basement and we just don't get the benefit of sunshine, it's not a sun's fault. Or another way, Guru's grace, you can understand like an ocean. Ocean does not put a ban upon the quantity of water that you can carry from it. There's an unlimited amount of water. Limitations are the limitations of your own part. Okay. So the same way, Guru's grace is always there, or God's grace is always there all the time for all of us. But how much we receive it, it depends upon us. Are we calm enough? Are we attached to Guru enough? Are we detached from the worldly temptations or not? That is our job. Guru's grace is constantly showering on all of us. Guru, living in perfection, gives out knowledge in the language of his own intimate experience, giving the examples also. And it's up to the individual seeker to get for themselves as much benefit as he or she can. Okay? So when a seeker has developed Vivek, Vairagya, Shat Sampati, his mumukshutvam keep on increasing. That's why mumukshutvam is the last one in this series. The greater the degree to which the other qualities are there, the more will be his tuning towards this ultimate goal. And he will be tuned with the master, with the Guru also. He'll be able to understand the significance of the every word of Guru is saying completely and exhaustively. Otherwise, these words they are only words. But if we have the other qualities, then all this will sink in at a deeper level. So the same words are spoken by a guru to everybody. But some people will absorb it more than the others. Okay? So vairagyam chu mumukshutvam tivram yasya tu vidyate tasmin en ev arthvantah sayu phalvanta shamadya. Calmness and other practices have their meaning and they bear fruit indeed only in him who has an intense spirit of renunciation and yearning for liberation. Okay, so again he is clarifying that what do we really need to do more? Vairagya. Vairagya. Okay, vairagyam cha mumukshutvam tivram yasya tu vidyate. Okay, so they will have the increase in intensity. So, because there are some seekers having practiced for long, the 6 requirements, like a Shamadhi, complained that they have not progressed at all. There are some people who will say that. Because those are the ethic and the moral practices. So Sham Adi, they are the great qualities mainly to create that ethical and moral atmosphere. Person says, I have all that, but how come I really don't have that mumukshutvam in me? So that's why he says, Vairagya is needed. Vairagya. Because a lot of people, they'll say that, yeah, I am living morally. I am very honest. I am very dutiful. I earn honestly. I look after my family, my dependents. I share my wealth also. I do the charitable work also. But what do we really need to really push ourselves up to that ultimate goal? Vairagya. Vairagya. So, but in order to cultivate this Vairagya, we better have the Vivek also. Because Vairagya is a detachment from the temporary. If you don't know what is temporary and what is permanent, how do we know? Vairagya from what? Vairagya from what? Yes, Prem.
Is renunciation and detachment the same thing?
Yes. Renunciation and detachment is the same thing.
Thank you.
And renunciation is not just a physical, at the physical level renunciation, it's more mental renunciation.
Mental. But they're used interchangeably.
Yeah, yeah. In English language, they do interchange these two terms: dispassion, detachment, renunciation. All these words,
Okay.
depending upon in which context they are said, but they really mean the same thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we got to renounce the unreal in order to attach to the real. But we got to have a proper understanding, though. If you don't even know what is real and what is unreal, we wouldn't know what to renounce from and what to attach with. Okay, but over here in this verse, basically what he is saying is vairagya is very, very important. So the qualities of the self-restraint, self-control, purity, etc., can bear fruit only when they are in an individual who has a complete sense of detachment. Which is detachment, which is born out of discrimination. Remember this. You have to remember the whole scheme over here. Burning and ultimately burning aspiration to let go of these limitations. That is a mumukshutva. Okay? So goal has to be clear, the means we should know, and the sadhana we have to do. In order to do all this, we need stamina. Stamina.
Could you kindly repeat that sentence, the detachment that is born out of?
Yeah. See, the detachment needs to be born out of discrimination, which is a Vivek. Okay? Because sometimes the detachment is also born out of some kind of a painful experience, which is like in Hindi, they say Shamshan Vairagya. When you go to somebody's funeral, for a moment or so, it seems like this is all temporary. But the minute you get in your car again, we forget that. Shamshan Vairagya. But this kind of a Vairagya, which he is talking about, is called a born out of discrimination from Vivek. And a burning aspiration to surmount the limitations of the mortal existence. That is mumukshutva. Okay, so ultimate goal is in mind. How to get to the goal is perfectly clear. Okay, so this sham etc., remember the sham etc. cannot bear fruit unless their growth has been from a heart which has been watered with detachment, the vairagya, and plowed by an intense wish for liberation. Okay, just remember that. So all of them, just not just one ingredient. All these ingredients are equally important. Yes, Pramila.
Not, this went over my head. Could you please explain in simple language?
In simple languages, see, there are, we've been talking about these 4 qualifications.
Yes.
Right? 4 qualifications. Over here in this verse, he's talking about vairagya is utmost important.
Yeah.
But vairagya, which is coming from the Vivek.
Yeah.
Okay. So Vivek got to keep on increasing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a one-day endeavor. Vivek got to keep on increasing. Vairagya got to keep on deepening too. Okay, that's all he's saying. Okay, so it's not just a superficial vairagya. It's a real vairagya. Vairagya which is dependent upon the proper discrimination. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Etyor mandataha yatra viraktvam mumukshyo marau salilvatram sham adi vanmatrata. Again, sham, etc. So whenever he says sham adi, that means all six. Okay. So sham, etc., become as ineffectual. See, mandata. Mandata means ineffectual. That means very weak. They become very weak as the mirage in the desert in him who has a weak detachment and yearning for liberation. So what he's telling us, that there has to be intensity in all the qualities. If one becomes weak, the others, they become ineffective. Okay. I mean, for him to keep on going through this again and again, that means how important it must be. So we got to pay full attention to it. So sham, etc., become as ineffectual. So you can have a calm mind, but you don't have a vairagya or you don't have a vivek. That quality is not going to take you far. So he says, as the mirage in the desert, in him who has a weak detachment and yearning for liberation. Okay. So this is the idea he's expressing, the same idea which expressed in the previous verse. So he's just reinforcing this statement. So the people who have neither the spirit of detachment, vairagya, from the unreal, see, vairagya has to be from unreal, nor a consistent aspiration to evolve. Evolve means that mumukshutvam, the calmness, etc., cannot flourish. That's why most of the people, sure, sometimes they are calm, and the next moment they can lose calmness too. But in a serious seeker, calmness does not evaporate that easily. So that's why this Acharya is saying to us that self-control, self-restraint, joy, happiness, they could be mere illusions in a person who is not standing on the firm ground. They do not thrive well, or they do not bear the proper fruits either. And that's what Marau Salil. See, Salil means water. Marau means a desert. Okay, Salil Vatra means like a mirage. It looks like a water, but it's not a water. Okay, so in such individuals where true vairagya and mumukshutvam are absent, sham, etc., can never bear fruit or grow or even germinate. Okay, so real vairagya. So in order to have a real vairagya, we better have a real vivek also. Okay, so I have been telling you that vairagya and vivek we keep on working on, and it's just like they complement each other. Complement. So more vivek, more vairagya. Then more vairagya, more vivek. So it's just like a two strands. They help each other. Some people think that Shankaracharya ji talked only about the Gyan part. No. He talked about the Bhakti also. In the next verse, look at it, the Bhakti. Gyan without Bhakti doesn't take us far. And Bhakti alone without Gyan also can make us fanatics. They both are needed. Gyan and Bhakti both. In simple terms, my own Guruji used to say, Gyan wo jo Bhakti बढ़ाए. Bhakti wo hai jo Gyan बढ़ाए. So they both got to help each other. Gyan and Bhakti both. So over here in this verse, we learn that firm and deep Bhakti. What does he talk about? Verse number 31. Moksha karan samagriyam bhakti rev griyasi swa swa rup anusandhanam bhaktir atya abhidhiyate. Moksha karan samagrayam. Moksha is the liberation. Karan means cause. Samagrayam, resources. Bhakti is the devotion. Ev means alone. Among the instruments and conditions necessary for liberation, bhakti alone is griyasi. Griyasi means supreme. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said the same thing. Bhakti, through bhakti, he says you can attain me. And bhakti means love. So among the instruments and conditions necessary for liberation, bhakti alone is supreme. A constant attempt to live up to one's own real nature is called single-pointed devotion. So over here, he is defining what bhakti is.
Hershey, could you say that again, please? Constant attempt.
Yeah, a constant attempt to live up to one's own real nature. Swa-swarup anusandhanam. See that second line? A constant attempt to live up to one's own real nature is called single-pointed devotion. Okay, but over here, just remember, there has to be a large share of intelligent detachment and knowledge of what is this Swarup is. Right? Because if we think we are the body and we love our body, and which everybody does, that's not the bhakti he's talking about. He's talking about Swarup anusandhanam. That is a contemplation of one's own essential nature. Swarup. Okay? So fully developed, after fully developing the moral and ethical values, this question should come to us. Goal is not just have a calm mind. We want a calm mind for this reason, to know ourselves, who we are. You remember last Saturday we did Patanjali Sutras? Yoga Chitta-vritti Nirodha. After we do this, what happens? He says, you will know yourself. That is the self Shankaracharya ji is talking about too. Swarup anusandhanam. So all these great teachers, acharyas, are not saying different things. So same thing they are talking about. So over here he says that bhakti is the path, but bhakti is not a practice of a beggary, because we have learned bhakti is just going to the temple, doing the darshan and begging. That's not a bhakti. He is defining very openly as a constant and consistent effort at raising our ego center. Okay, raising it up, our identification. Moving away from the false values and moving towards the reality, Swarup. So blind dependence is not a bhakti. Because most of the time what happens, we have done all kinds of mischiefs and we think we can confess and we are a bhagat. And again we make the same mistake. That's not a bhakti.
Hershji, namaste.
Yes.
Quick question. So when they say to know one's real nature, does that really mean, and it's just a clarification from my side, does that really mean when we say, who am I? and we
Yes.
are really doing a soul searching.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
what it is?
Yes, that's what it really means. Who am I? Who am I? I am that which does not change, which did not change from my babyhood to the adulthood to the old age now. The same I. Knowing that I, we are talking about here.
Okay.
And that I is going to leave this body at the time of death. That I is the one comes into that little baby's form also.
So that's the Atma, right?
That's the
what
Atma.
we're talking about.
That is the soul. That is the self. That is the spirit. Those are just the names. That's who we are. So that is what he says. Swaswarup anusandhanam. Contemplate upon that. He says that's a bhakti. To know thyself is a bhakti. Okay? Because most of the times we do bhakti half in fear and half in deluded hopes. That's not a bhakti, according to this great Acharya. Sometimes why fear? Because we think that if we did not worship this way or that in that direction or this form, what do we think? We think that God will get angry at us. This kind of a personality cannot be expected to grow spiritually yet. Or to gain any kind of a satisfaction from his religion. It doesn't matter which religion, which ism, which temple, which direction, doesn't even matter. In time, we will do Narad Bhakti Sutras and you will have a even deeper understanding of Bhakti through that scripture. But right now, remember, God devotion or love for God has been described by great Bhakti saints as a par anurakti. Par anurakti. That means supreme, unquestioned, unmotivational love for the Lord, where you don't seek any personal reward. Par anurakti. That's it. I want only God, nothing else. So that is the bhakti he's talking about. Okay, so par anurakti word is from Narad Bhakti Sutras. So that's why I just wanted to bring it over here and you can note it down. And then when we study Narad Bhakti Sutras, I'll elaborate on that even more. Yes, Jyoti.
Sujata, you have a question?
Hershji, just to be clear, when most of us, I mean, us ordinary souls leave the body, obviously we are not the Shuddh Buddhatma. We are the Shuddh Buddhatma covered by our whatever remaining ignorance we have, right?
Yeah, sanskaras, yes.
Yes. So, I mean, the whole purpose of our human life is to get rid of those.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
Whole purpose is to know ourselves.
Right. And to let go. I mean, both things. I mean, to
Yes,
let go
yes,
of
definitely. Let go of the false and to know the real.
identifications.
Yes, definitely. What happens is we just get so tangled in these day-to-day duties, we forget the ultimate goal. So that's why these gurus, through these great scriptures, remind us again and again, right? That we should not forget it. And especially if we are fortunate enough, see, in the beginning, he did say, the fortunate is the one who has this kind of aspiration. Fortunate is the one who is studying from a guru. So we should not let go of this great
Opportunity.
opportunity which have been given. We have the intellectual power also. We have the time also. Especially, I've been saying it for the last 8-9 months during these COVID years. We have been given a great opportunity. Right? So, but a good point. Yes, Sujata, you are right. So let me, I'm sure you have heard this little statement from not just Naradji or Shankaracharya ji. This is another saying I have written over here about bhakti. Love gives not but itself and takes not but itself. Love possesses not, nor would it be possessed, for love is sufficient unto love. Right? Does anybody know who wrote that?
Can you repeat it one more time, please?
Love gives not but itself and takes not but itself. Love possesses not, nor would it be possessed, for love is sufficient unto love.
Elizabeth
So that's
Barrett
the kind
Browning.
of, huh?
Elizabeth Barrett Browning, my guess.
No, this is Khalil Gibran.
Khalil Gibran. Okay. All right.
Yes. Okay. So this is what love is. But we have always
हर्षजी एक बारी और रिपीट कर दीजिए last 2 lines.
Love gives not but itself and takes not but itself. Love possesses not, nor would it be possessed. For love is sufficient unto love. So in other words, the attunement is successful to the degree the lover identifies himself with the beloved. Attunement. That's why love gives not but itself. अपने आप को दे देना. Don't we do that when we go to the temple, when we do this Ashtang Pranam? We are giving ourselves. Okay? So identification is the measuring rod of love. When the identification is complete, love is fulfilled. Identification of the little ego with all its weaknesses, imperfections, limitations, with the absolute reality, perfection, bliss, knowledge is achieved through a constant remembrance of the nature of the self. Okay, so right now we think we are imperfect. We think that we are little. We think we have the flaws. Keep on remembering God. Keep on remembering. That is the power of the name of God. But make sure that feeling of that God has to be there in the heart, not just only the saying the name of God. Okay? So with the bhav. Okay, then you become blissful also, you feel perfect also. Because when identification is there with the perfect. So this process is accomplished through a constant awareness of the divine in us. And it can be maintained. See this word over here which he used, anusandhan. That is the key word in this verse. If we can maintain in ourselves an unbroken stream of divine thoughts. So anusandhan is this unbroken remembrance of God. Anu means, remember I told you whenever this anu word is in front of something, that means even in the smallest portion of it, anu. Okay, so anusandhan is a unbroken, and we keep on increasing the frequency of divine thoughts in us. So that's why I said half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. Sure, for a child, maybe it's enough. For us, it's not enough. We got to increase it. Increase the intensity also, increase the duration also. Then we can experience the divine as intimately and as freely as we are experiencing our egocentric life right now. Okay? Because we never forget ourselves as a body or as our name or our achievements, because we identify with all that. Constantly we are thinking about all these false. We got to remember to think about the true now. And that's what this Anusandhan is. A simple Hindi word is called Atam Vichar. Okay, practical implication of this is Atam Vichar. And this is what is suggested in the Bhakti Marg, the path of Bhakti. So that's why we can see it, how clearly Shankaracharya ji is saying that for those who want to walk the path of knowledge and reach the ultimate, the most efficient technique is Bhakti. Okay, but in a correct way though. So that means the knowledge has to be there, the purity has to be there, the goal has to be in mind too. Okay, I feel like keep on moving, but I think I should stop. It's 11:25. Anybody has any question? I mean, can you imagine just reading about this, learning about it, how mesmerized we get?
Hershji, can you please explain par anurakti? Par anurakti. जो आया था ना पहले.
Oh yeah, par anurakti is the supreme, unquestioned, unmotivated love for the Lord. Okay, so unmotivated means where you are not seeking any worldly reward.
Okay.
Okay, so you are just not questioning, you have a full faith. See, unquestioned means no question left now. See, just like to go into a relationship also, you sure like to see some questions. But once you are in a relationship, no questions. Full faith. So in a God also, sure, before you walk on this path, think it through. But once you are on the path, if you keep on questioning, then you are not going to move forward.
Okay.
Okay, so this is par. Par means, see, there are two words, Naina, par and apar.
Yeah.
So par is the highest level.
Yeah.
Highest level of attachment we want to have when we don't have a question anymore and when we don't have any personal motive in it. That by loving God, I will have this. No. By loving God, I'm going to just give myself to God. That's it.
Hershji.
It's just like a river just flowing into the ocean. River doesn't say that I want to have my own identification in the ocean. You cannot see the separate water of river from the ocean. The same thing happens for a Bhagat. That is a par anurakti. No separation from my beloved. Everything is for him only. Yes, Jyoti.
Thank you, Hershji.
Hershji,
Yes, Naina.
what's the difference between par anurakti and anusandhanam?
See, anusandhan. Anusandhan is a word. See, they both similar understanding. They are like a anusandhan basically is like a every small portion of our mind is moving towards that. That's a anusandhan. Contemplation, even any time you get, you're just thinking about God only.
Okay.
That's a anusandhan. Okay. So that's why anusandhan, I just defined it for you, that unbroken stream of divine thoughts. That is a anusandhan. So there's no breakage.
Okay. Thank you.
When you get up also, when you are doing your yoga also, when you are meditating also, when you are doing your cleansings also, when you're cooking also, when you're cleaning also, when you are teaching also, when you are studying also, when you're taking care of the kids also, when you are, no matter what you are doing, connected with God. That's an anusandhan.
Thank you.
We don't want to take a chance of breaking that stream which is connecting us with God. We can do that. Don't we do that? Anybody we love, it could be our own body. Part of our mind is connected, or our children, or grandchildren, or husband, or anybody. So over here, we have established this, that my love is only to him, to God. Okay? Anybody else? Okay. No question?
No question.
No question. Okay. I don't think anybody is ready to sing today. So many, if you can put some kind of a devotional bhajan for us, so that we can all get immersed in it and forget about ourselves.
Hershji.
Yes.
Purnamatam.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me before bhajan, let me do the Purnamada. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you for reminding me, Jyoti.